I'm Zach Dean, this is Chris Boyle. Week number 1 of the high school football playoff season here in Volusia, Flagler County, where we have a ton of teams, I believe the most since 2008. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have business to attend to before we get to the games. Why is your beard still here? The Dolphins won!
Don't agree with it.
What?
I'm protesting the win. Because I'm not going to get to it now because they went out and beat the Jets. So I'm not shaving out of protest, out of anger. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. It's no shave November. How about that?
I shaved.
Whatever. You don't have as good of a beard as I do.
Fair.
It's part of me now. It's my playoff beard. You're a hockey guy. Playoff beard?
There you go. I'll take it.
We have seven playoff teams. Seven, the most in over a decade. 1 is going to be at home, and that's where we're going to start. That's where I'm going to be. Mainland, hosting a team from the other side of the country, apparently. Booker T, Washington, they're in a different time zone.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
Yeah, they're
Holy
in
cow.
Pensacola from a completely different time zone. So Mainland gets in as district champion. They get to host. They're the only team from Volusia Flagler that will get to play at home. They will try to start and end the postseason on the Daytona Stadium turf. Against the Pensacola, Washington team that played was 8-1 during the regular season. They finished with a bye week. They are 2 weeks removed from getting beat 50-7 by Escambia. So that kind of shows you the difference in the team that was the very top of that district and the second place team. But they were 8-0 going into that game. Mainland comes into the playoffs with a 2-4 record against playoff qualifying teams. They did beat Westwood. They beat New Smyrna Beach, and their 4 losses, if you go back and look at them, certainly strong teams: DeLand, Seminole, Cocoa, and Bulls this past week.
It's not a bad. I mean, that's something.
It's a list of heavy hitters for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, teams that are good just about every single season, and teams that are right up there at the very top of the RPI ranking. So, can you really fault Mainland? No, but are these games they have won in the past?
Yeah.
Yes, they have. Teron Keith, TJ Lockley, they hooked up for a touchdown that lost the Bulls. I think they're going to be 2 of the key players. Hooking up for big plays. They've really thrived. And Mainland's offense has been at its best when they've been able to hit 30, 40-yard pass plays and use that speed that Lockley has to get down the field. And Keith throws a very pretty deep ball. Yeah. And the defense for Mainland has been really stellar. They have, I think it's 5 pick sixes for the season. Romello Dotson's got a bunch of interceptions. Chad Johnson has double-digit tackles for loss. So they're going to really have to put the pressure on, keep this game close, and Mainland's going to have to find some of those explosive plays to face a pass offense for Booker T that's thrown 18 touchdowns as well.
Weird having a playoff start, and we're covering Mainland, and they're not playing a Miami team. You talk about weird.
They won't have to face one until the state championship game.
Yeah, I like Mainland. I think we all like Mainland in this game, and you never know. We all liked Mainland last week, and they lost the Bulls. So maybe we were a little bit overly optimistic on them, although Bulls is a good football team. I just think Mainland, they're at home. You know, Booker T has to travel 6.5, 7 hours.
That is a long bus ride. Yeah. I think that can definitely not be overstated. That is a long trip. It's a haul. I mean, I don't necessarily think that any sort of the time crossover is going to matter at all. But at the same time, we talk about Mainland on home field. 3 of their losses were on home turf too. So it hasn't necessarily been the fortress that they might have wanted it to be.
FPC and Apopka. That's right down the road. Where is Apopka? Is that close to here?
It's like northwest of Orlando, if I'm not mistaken.
Orlando's a miserable place. That's miserable. Anyway, FPC, they're coming off an easy win last week. A little bit of a get-right game after the DeLand loss. They head to Apopka. The game they had to have. They head to Apopka. The triple option Blue Darters. Is that who they are?
So they play single wing. Yeah.
Whatever.
It
all looks the same. It's all really hard to follow if you're keeping stats.
Yeah. So Rick Darlington's not the coach anymore there, but the identity's still the same. Yeah. Power running. I mean, you look at the stats for Apopka this season. They've hardly thrown it. They've thrown, I think, about 80 times this entire season.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah. They love running the football. They love power football. Getting guys shifted around and snapping it right when you're not expecting it. They definitely thrive on those type of situations. Their top weapon is Jaquan Lohman, who's a dual threat quarterback. Ran for 999 yards, 1 yard shy of 1,000.
Someone's got to go back in the staff book and fix that. Come on, cook the books.
Yeah, he had 15 touchdowns as well. I think they've run for 29 as a team, or over close to 30 as a team. He's got 15 of them. For Flagler, they've made the playoffs now 3 straight seasons. They've been knocked out in the first round, and each of them includes a home loss to Boone 2 seasons ago. So certainly they want to exercise some postseason demons. It's going to be on Preston Roberts. You know, it looks like Donovan Montoya is going to be done the rest of the year with that
week
knee
to the
injury.
week turned into a month to month.
He was, even 2 weeks ago, he was still on crutches, so it doesn't look like he's going to come back this year. Roberts threw for over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. They're going to have to get off to a good start. Really, the first quarter's killed them. If you fall behind a team like Apopka early, it is not fun to try to come back in those type of games with the way they run the ball.
Me and Gava both picked FPC. You picked Apopka. I just think this was a game I struggled with because Apopka's definitely the favorite on paper.
Yeah.
They're at home. FPC has not won the playoffs under Travis Rowland, but I just feel like you give me 1 week of Travis Rowland to prepare that defense for an offense they faced already once this year in university and did very well. Now, granted, Apopka's a different animal, but I feel like this seems like because in years past we all thought, oh, FPC's rolling, they're going to win the playoff game, and then they lost. And this year it's kind of the other way around. No one thinks they're going to win, so maybe this is the time they win.
The key number for me, and we talk about Flagler's defense, the key number for me is 11, and that's Apopka's defense. You don't want to overlook Apopka's defense. They have allowed 11 points in their last 4 games. Wow. So that is a really tough unit to score on, and given Flagler's struggles against DeLand 2 weeks ago certainly come to mind. Like I said, they're going to have to find ways to score early in this game because if you're trying to play catch-up against that team, it's going to be a problem.
DeLand in Timber Creek. DeLand, the district champion, they blew out Seabreeze last week to end the season. They go to Timber Creek. DeLand, they lost in the playoffs last year too. But that was a different story. They were banged up last year. I think this year, for all intents and purposes, they're healthy going into this game, and I feel like we all think they're the favorites to win this one.
Well, of course they have some sort of distraction with 2 players being arrested on Wednesday. But with that in mind, they're healthy, and they're. This will be a really fascinating matchup. Their secondary against Timber Creek's pass offense. Jake Johnson, their quarterback for Timber Creek, has not thrown a single interception this year in 163 pass attempts. He's got 15 touchdowns. He had a big game against Winter Park 2 weeks ago to help them win the district. But this is a different animal. This DeLand secondary with Ben Knox, Mizell Williams, Avante Williams, they take the ball away, and they're certainly able to challenge even the best receivers. So this is going to be a test for Timber Creek. For DeLand, the key is going to be protecting the football. We saw when they protect the football, when they don't turn it over, when they don't put themselves in...
They can play with anybody.
Yeah, when they don't put themselves behind the 8 ball, they can hang in and beat any team around here. And they did so against Flagler. They didn't turn it over one time in that game. They were efficient. They eventually got theirs. They took them a half to get into the end zone, but eventually they made it count. And I do think that if they protect the ball in this game and they get that running game going, whether it's Travion Dixon, who had a big game last week, or whether it's Avante Williams, who had that huge second half against Flagler, I think that can be a real bit of success for them.
Team in this area, a team that crushed all the teams in this area was Seminole. DeLand was actually leading Seminole for a lot of that game. Turnovers is what did them in the second half. Other than that, DeLand was step with Seminole, a team a lot of people in this state think is going to win the state championship.
I think they've got a great chance if they win this game. I think they've got a great chance to get to the 3rd round. You know, I do like them head to head with Seminole, getting another opportunity. They know what they're going to expect. I think they'd have a really good shot in that game. And if it's not Seminole, it'll be Mandarin, a team they faced last year. They'd certainly want revenge. They were supposed to play them in week 3, but that game got wiped out because of the hurricane. So they certainly will know if they win tomorrow night. We're shooting this on Thursday. If they win tomorrow night, they'll know exactly what they're getting next round.
Spruce Creek and Bartram Trail, another road team from this area, going to Bartram Trail this time. Spruce Creek. You talk about an up and down season. Holy cow! About a month and a half ago, we killed them. They were done, and then they went down to Key West and kind of turned their season around.
The amazing thing is they were apparently never done.
Yeah, nobody knew that.
Yeah, the way we didn't know how the RPI rankings were going to work, and then the first ones came out, and Spruce Creek was always a playoff team. They never lost positioning. They never dropped out. They never needed to climb their way back in. They were ahead of DeLand at one point. They were always solid, and then they went out there and blew out Oviedo last week and pretty much stamped their place in. This is going to be an interesting test with Bartram Trail. They played back in the preseason. They had an officials clinic. The games that they do at Flagler Palm Coast, they had 2 weeks before the start of the season. They played Bartram Trail, and it was a 7-6 game and a half. So they know what to expect. They think that they're able to athletically match up with this team. And when you've got Marvin Scott, who goes off for 266 and 3 touchdowns last week, you can hang with anybody. Bartram Trail is very balanced. 185 pass yards a game, just over 200 yards a game on the ground. They can hurt you in a number of ways. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game because we've seen some teams score on Bartram Trail too, and if they can get that running game going and Spruce Creek can control the clock, you never know. I think this is going to be a very tight game, despite the disparity in records, where Creek's 6-3 and Bartram's 10-0. I think you could have a game that is very close for a long time.
The running game works, and the running game travels in the playoffs. You have a good running game, you're going to be able to.
And they have a good offensive line, too. I think we've kind of overshadowed the offensive line at Spruce Creek. You look at Robbie Manello at center, Sabian Sierra at right tackle. They've got experience across that entire line. They feel really good about that unit going out there anytime, anywhere, and pushing the pile to get Marvin Scott some holes.
Look at you giving the big sexy some love.
Got to.
Come on. Escambia. They are all the way on the other side of this country where Pensacola's coming from. They're over there. They host New Smyrna Beach. New Smyrna, welcome back to the dance.
That's
First
right.
time in a while. Their reward, they get to go to Pensacola and play one of the best teams in that area.
Yeah, they actually left this afternoon. They're getting there a day early.
Yeah. They got to adjust to the time change.
So it's an 8:30 kickoff because it is in the central time zone. So this will be the last game that kicks off on Friday night, and it will certainly be a game in which New Smyrna is going to be viewed as a pretty substantial underdog, considering how well Escambia played in the regular season. They were 10-0. They're right at the top of the Class 6A poll. Their quarterback A.V. Smith threw for 23 touchdowns this season. New Smyrna, the 7-3 record, they were able to close the year on a high note. 5 wins in their last 6 games. Have they played a team Escambia's caliber is the question. I mean, you look back at week 1 against Champagnat Catholic, and they didn't fare very well against them.
42-0.
They lost 44-0 to Mainland. 3 weeks ago. So the couple of teams they've played at the very top of their schedule they've not fared well against. But certainly New Smyrna is going to be fired up for this game. John Wilkinson in his second year able to turn this program around, get them back into the playoffs. And I think the key player for New Smyrna is certainly offensively has been Antonio Mascotti, who ran for 2 long touchdowns last week, and defensively Nazir Rogers with 10 sacks this season. He's committed to Navy.
No, New Smyrna's back in the postseason. Atlantic is also back in the postseason. I was at that game last week. I mean, they dominated. They dominated from the opening whistle and did not take their foot off the gas until it was curtains. So they get to go all the way to River Ridge. Is that it? Is that who they play?
I would say Atlantic is a very strong 7-3. You look at the team; they played 6 playoff teams this year. They were 3-3 against them. They're very competitive against both Merritt Island and O'Galley, the 2 games they lost in their district, other than Rockledge. They were competitive in 9 games this year. I think you've got to tip your hat to Atlantic. They came in, week out, ready to play. And I don't think that's going to change at all this week against River Ridge. Of the 4 teams in that region 3-5A, 3 of them are ranked in the top 10. That would be Rockledge, Lake Wales, and Jesuit. So the only team that's not ranked in the top 10 of the AP poll was River Ridge. So just on paper, you could say maybe Atlantic got the best draw. That doesn't mean this is going to be an easy game. River Ridge really finished the year well. They've scored 34 points, and I think their last 6 games, at least 34, they've caught fire. They also have a safety in Cole Castro, who's got 10 interceptions on the season, 1 per game. So if you throw the ball in his area, he very well could make you pay. He's a pole vaulter by trade, but from what I've read, he can go up there and get the football.
Atlantic's defense last week was incredibly impressive. Their offense finally put it all together. If they can be that complete again this week, they're going to have a really good chance to keep this postseason run going. Final game, Trinity Christian in Orangewood, a rematch of a few weeks ago. This was a good game a few weeks ago. This is close all the way into the end, right?
Yeah, it was 39-21 in favor of Orangewood. They're going to be very familiar with one another. They just played on October the 25th. So the good thing with a matchup like this, if you're Trinity, is you can take a look back at the film. Where did you make the mistakes? Where can you maybe find and exploit a matchup that you didn't know was there the first time around? They'll have a good opportunity to do so. They won in the first round last year. They went on the road.
Yes,
they beat, I think it was Oak Hall from Gainesville. They went on the road. They won the game convincingly. So I wouldn't write it off. You look at their schedule too. They've played a bunch of teams that made the playoffs. Trinity. So they're going to come in feeling as though they've played a pretty tough slate of games. They're going to feel mentally sharp. Jalen Wilson has been really the key guy for them in all phases. He's got over 1,100 all-purpose yards this year. So if he's able to get going as in the receiving game or as a running back, if they're able to get him going and take the ball away, they intercepted 16 passes this year. I think turnovers are going to be crucial for Trinity Christian to really pull an upset here.
That was exhausting. Tell me we didn't forget anybody because I don't want to hear about it. We couldn't have, right? We got everybody?
We got all 7 of them.
Woo! Where are you going to be tomorrow night?
I'll be at DeLand Timber Creek on the east side of Orlando in Avalon Park.
Wow. You're 31 today.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. 31 years old. Happy to be here.
Happy to write about the 7 Volusia Flagler football teams that are going to be playing tomorrow night. This is like a regular season Friday. This is crazy.
It's as exciting a postseason as I've been here. This is my 7th year in the Daytona Beach News Journal with this paper. This is as much excitement as we've generated for high school football going into the playoffs as any time as I've been here.
Well, hopefully this isn't our last video. I don't think it will be. We have 7 chances to get another video in next week, and I think we're going to get at least 1, 2, maybe 3 teams in. You?
I've got 3 teams winning.
Wow. All right. Fire me
Go
up.
online and check out which 3 teams. Read the story.
Yeah, he's got about 17 stories in the paper today. I was exhausted just watching him type. Anyway, I got to go write something right now, so we're going to call this a show. I'm Zach Dean. It's Chris Boyle. I'll be at that Mainland game tomorrow night. Hope to see you guys out there. He's going to be in Timber Creek. For you road warriors out there, go tell him hi and happy birthday in the press box. Bring him a cupcake. I'm Zach Dean. It's Chris Boyle. We will see you for the playoffs tomorrow night.